All this talk about a future civil war has got me triggered. The following video is brought to you by Ian H., Sherry A., and Brent Y. I'm only abbreviating the last name. So thank you all for your continued support to keep me producing these videos. And of course, now we're getting to my Civil War rant. Well, not just a rant. I'm just triggered because of all the crap that's gone down. Literally, while I was producing this video, we had 2 mass shootings from various, from 2 different political factions, allegedly. And I just want to weigh in at the media rhetoric that has surrounded this whole thing. But I don't want to take too much away from I want to roll it all together into this trip. So I'm going to start off with my arrival at the Gettysburg, pretty much battlefield. I want to give my thoughts and share my adventure, but I'm also going to be talking about a little bit about current events and where I think things are heading in the long term. So let's get fucking started. So, this first part of my arrival to Gettysburg, as you know, I was trying to do this as a car camper with a minimal budget. So when I got to this first building, which is essentially the ranger station, I was a little disheartened that there was a distinct cost to a lot of different things. If you could do tour buses. However, after some investigation, I found that there was free shit. You know me, I like free shit. And so I started off on a little hike. I figured I would hike the battlefield. But little did I know that, I would not be able to hike this. It's a 9-mile tour of the battlefield. So I started off on my hike investigating. So first thing right off the bat, I encounter this fucking deer. Literally standing there. He didn't care that I was out there on the trail. There was another couple that looked at me funny because I was standing there filming this fucking thing. And they walked up, and then they got past me, and then they're like, finally figured out that this deer was there, and they stopped too. But I pretty much was just like, okay, it's already an adventure, and I haven't even seen shit yet. So this trip was like an exploration dream for me. I thoroughly love just going through the historic area, seeing all these old buildings that were there during the battle, all these fences and rock walls that were built. It's just, it's fun for me. I enjoy this shit. There's going to be more of this shit on my channel. Gates open. Be okay. Can't go in. So I very quickly realized that this battlefield, this entire battlefield, was essentially a graveyard. That underneath this very field lay dead Confederate soldiers. The Union soldiers were moved to the graveyard, but the Confederates were buried wherever they fell, or very close to where they fell. Just when you think about the loss of life that happened here, 51,000 soldiers died here. It does have kind of that, I don't know, that eerie feeling. Probably coming from the context of knowing what happened here. But, yeah, I finally made it here. And looks like I got my work cut out for me. There's a lot to see here. Not much in the way of hiking, though, as far as this goes. A lot of it's driving tours. But I'm going to explore on foot as much as I can. But yeah, it definitely looks like an old Civil War battlefield. So I'm going to learn as much as I can. I don't know a lot about the Battle of Gettysburg. I know that Lincoln gave an address there, and that's about it. And I know that 51,000 motherfuckers died. Apparently I could have just drove up here, but I don't know. Between seeing the deer and stopping to look at all the little monuments along the way, you just don't get that if you're in the car. But I will do the full driving tour, look around at everything as it goes on. But I don't know. It is exactly what I expected, though, coming here, and I'm intrigued to be walking through and seeing this place in a way that I couldn't see it as a truck driver. And over there's a McDonald's. Because, you know, should always commemorate all the soldiers that died here with McDonald's. It was at this point in the journey that I started to think about our current divided nature here in the United States, and how it's becoming more and more violent. There's more rhetoric, and you know, the more I've learned about the Civil War, the more I've learned that it was a very violent war. It was a very cutthroat war on both sides, and it was not a pretty sight. It was not a, you know, good time to be alive. We'll just put it that way. So this is where the Gettysburg Address was delivered by Abe Lincoln himself. I guess that's just the normal cemetery. So all of these just got numbers on them. I'm guessing because they didn't know who it was that they had to bury. I have since learned that was a real problem during the Civil War. They didn't have dog tags. Some people sewed their name on their uniform. Some people had keepsakes that helped identify them, or loved ones that could identify them. But there was a great many that, you know, just couldn't be identified. There's names there. This is quite the monument. to bring my camera tomorrow and get pictures of all this. I don't have time today. I got to start heading back shortly. July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1863. So I was a little confused because the visitor center closed at 7. I later found out that the park closes at 10 p.m. Just about a half hour after it gets dark. So I didn't get to do any ghost hunting. Maybe next time. More numbers. $143 bodies unknown. Of course, soldiers are paying tribute by leaving coins. This is what can happen when you have a nation that doesn't agree and that's divided. Sound familiar? I won't say that we're quite there yet, but if we keep going on the path we're on, we might not have learned from our past. It's one of the reasons I wanted to visit here. Just to see just how wrong it could go. So commenting once again on the coins, around 2009 this tradition started to take place, and different coins have different meanings. Like a nickel means you trained at boot camp with the deceased. Dime suggests you served with him or her. Finally, a quarter signifies that you were with the soldier when they passed away, and a penny just is a thank you for your service. So, if you're ever curious, that's what that means. So far, the only things I see that cost money are like the movie and any guided tours you may want. But with the advent of YouTube, I find it more interesting to explore and discover shit on your own. You know? And if you'll find stuff like this. Arrived here to assist repelling enemy charge, July 3rd. Men engaged, 294, 10 killed, 50 wounded, 53 missing. And I assume the missing are accounted for by the numbers of unidentified in the grave, in this graveyards there, so yeah. But you can enjoy a lot of history here without spending a lot of money, which is nice. It's interesting. It's a old rock wall. Guarding us against McDonald's. I really hate that that's there. Like, you got McDonald's and KFC. It's so distracting. That'd be like having a fucking Pizza Hut at Yosemite. But to be fair, the town was here before the battle. So many monuments to the deceased. can definitely see that it was the proper landscape for a battle. Apparently the farm got rebuilt, but this is the site of a battle. Be interesting to come through here at night if you're allowed to. So that's the farm where the battle took place, and I assume that these monuments are all places where specific moments of the battle took place and engagements. These rock walls are all over the place. "58 killed, 177 wounded, 14 missing." New York infantry. For all the death that took place here, certainly is a beautiful countryside. So here's the battle that took place. July 3rd, 1863, Petty Crew's charge. And I guess the tree line there is that tree line way over there. All of that. Huge battlefield. Gotta find out who this dude on the horse is. Major General George Gordon Meade, United States Army, Commander of the Army of the Potomac. Born December 31st, 1815, died 1872. So this is his moment. Is this where he died? I don't know. No, because it was in November, so he lived. So I wonder if this is where he supervised the charge. So as much as I'd like to continue that way, I'll have to get that tomorrow because I got to start heading back. The parking lot closes at 7 p.m. The gate's shut. The visitor center. And that's where my car is right now, so I gotta get back there. Done about 3 miles of hiking just right now, which isn't too much, but it's a nice little hike. I enjoy it. So there's probably not much more to see that I haven't already seen. Another artillery group back here. I wonder if this is where they actually were. I don't imagine that you could get a good line of sight from here. It's not like mortars and shit. Look at that ridge line over there. To think they had to stack those rocks during the battle. And I assume they were hiding behind them. Crouch down on the ground or else they get picked off. I want to know what that big, look at that big mausoleum over there. Interesting. So we pretty much did a nice little loop around the cemetery here. So far, day one of my arrival, even though I didn't have much time because I dilly-dallied on my way here. But tomorrow I get the full day to explore Gettysburg and all it has to offer. I'm going to look at some of the battlefields. I'm going to see what I can do after dark. I'm going to ask around. If one wanted to get haunted, I'm going to do a little online research tonight and figure out what are the best places to go and what I want to hike around tomorrow. I'm not going to park at the visitor center again. I'm going to probably park at one of the other spots because there's 16 spots. And I do believe I just covered 2 of them that you can explore on a vehicle tour. I don't really want to do that. I want to explore it on foot. So much more. I don't know. You get more of the environment, the more of the you get more of the feeling of what went on here when you're walking through it than when you're driving through it. I mean, old creepy trees and shit. You don't get that feeling when you're in your car. So, yeah. I need to do a lot more of this, I think. I definitely need to get out, see the country throughout the national park system, and really take a look. So much nature here. A little bunny. First the deer, now the bunny. He's like, no, don't come over here, dickhead. I'm eating my grass. Leave me alone. Are you a nice bunny? Or do you got rabies? Wow, you give no shits. You're like, I don't care how close you get. I can outrun your ass because you're fat. Why are you following me? Don't be a creeper. I'm going this way, so best way to get away from me would be to go like that way. Wow, you let me get pretty close. Were you somebody's pet bunny? Ah! Bye, bunny. It's nice seeing you. Wouldn't you know it, there's another fucking Prius, and it looks like they're car camping too. At least they got enough shit in there to car camp. It is hot in here. Shit. I need to get this thing to blow on me. So anyways, now I gotta go find a Walmart. Now I gotta go find a Walmart parking lot. Gonna clean up at some point because I've been sweating and hiking all day. It's been 90 degrees plus. So, yeah. Day one. Pretty successful day of my vacation. It's gonna fly by so quick too. I hope to get back out here again, maybe later in August. But I think I might be onto something. I might be wanting to do this kind of thing more than I have been, definitely. I've been cooped up half the summer. I haven't done hardly jack shit. That's gonna change, I think. Once I finish the client work, anyway. Morning! But I just woke up in Hotel Walmart and spent $1.92 in gas camping in Hotel Walmart in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Overall, it was a peaceful night. Nobody fucked with me. Didn't get any knocks on the window. There's 2 truckers sleeping here too. But yeah, it's working out pretty good. Gotta say, I am starting to get a little hungry though. Definitely gonna go see what I can find for food. I'm looking for some eggs and some breakfast type shit. Then I'm gonna head on over to Starbucks and get my coffee and edit this video pretty much. And then once I'm done editing this video, then I'm gonna start going touring the rest of Gettysburg and filming it using the GH5 today instead of the other camera. Even though the other camera seemed to get the job done and not draw a lot of attention while I was filming yesterday, this one's going to draw a little bit more attention. It's got the big fucking dead cat on top of it. People are going to be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you, YouTuber? Are you stupid being a YouTuber? There's no money in being a YouTuber anymore. Everybody wants to be a fucking YouTuber. You can't be a fucking YouTuber, you piece of shit. this has been a fun trip so far. I gotta say, this is definitely something I want to keep doing. I don't know why I haven't been fucking doing it, to be honest with you. I just get so caught up in that life in Syracuse that I don't think to go back out and experience life out here in the rest of the world. Let's go learn the rest about the bloodiest battle on American soil today, and then I get to decide if I'm going to Bushkill Falls on my way home. We'll see. But the vacation's not over. It's only just begun. It's only Tuesday. At least I think it's Tuesday. Should probably look. I went to Starbucks, downtown Gettysburg, right in the middle of Gettysburg. You know, you have to pay to park, which sucked. And I sat in there and drank coffee, and basically I was card dumping and did some editing of like the previous video that I shot. You know, I had no intent on editing this Gettysburg video while I was there because of the enormity of the task of putting all of this video and shit together. So, but yeah, people did look at me funny when I was in Starbucks. But who gives a shit? When you live in your car, you just gotta do your thing, even if that means sitting in Starbucks for 5 hours editing video, which I did at least twice on this trip. Motherfucking 100 degrees and shit. Just got done with 4 hours of video editing for the first video in the series. I'm still in Gettysburg, and now I'm gonna go fucking explore and shit. I need to, sorry. I realize I'm blowing you, but it's 100 fucking degrees. I'm gonna go, start touring the different, all of the locations, and I'm gonna film it with my GH5 and maybe take some pictures too while I'm at it. And that's what I'm gonna do today for the rest of the day now that I've done my work. Shit. Farm and shit. So this is the McPherson farm. And the first battle of Gettysburg took place along that ridge, I believe. And over that ridge over there. But we're gonna make our way over there. Just wanted to take a look over here. Is this an actual farm, or is this one of the buildings? So this is the McPherson farm, the inside. Of course, it's been modernized a little bit. There's a litter. Can I walk on this? It's just so old. But the war came through here, tore up the farm, if I remember right. Interesting. So I'm out here in Gettysburg with my day 2 of my tour. And I'm starting where the battle started and trying to work my way through all of the different spots. This is the McPherson farm. All in all, it was a massive loss of life during the Civil War. It was one of the biggest, I think it is the biggest battle fought on American soil. It was a horrible battle. You know, any documentary you watch on the subject will give you an idea of just how brutal the fighting was for 3 days here. Probably longer. I'd imagine there were skirmishes that weren't major battles that happened afterwards, but this was definitely, a lot of people died here. A lot of people, you know, it's kind of humbling to be here, to be honest. Because we wouldn't have what we have today if it wasn't for this war, or things might have been a lot different than they are today. So, yeah, let's look around, see what else there is to see. We're gonna follow this road here. There's a driving tour, which I'm kind of gonna drive along, pull over when I see cool shit, because it's just too expansive and it's like 100 degrees out, so I'm not gonna hike the whole fucking thing. So the artwork that was on display all over the battlefield really did kind of give you an idea of just how many people were fighting on this ground. And it opened my eyes quite a bit to just how massive this battle was. So it looks like this is where it all started. It kicked off and there was some skirmishes in these woods over here, and then a battle over near the farm back there, and all these cornfields were the battlefield pretty much. So this is where it all started. 51,000 lost their lives. Staggering amount. And they didn't lose it in a nice way either. Not that there's a nice way to lose your life. I left the car running because it's hot and shit. Why do I hear fucking screaming? That's not creepy or anything. That is weird. Is there something going on over there? Huh. Anyways, it's a railroad cut. This is trapped in the cut. The railroad cut visible in front of you is the scene of a dramatic engagement on the first day of the battle. Morning of July 1st, the Confederate attack crushed the Union line here, sending the survivors streaming back across, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. It's a real useful history lesson you're getting from me. I should have my own fucking guided tours. Apparently it pays well. But I kind of like doing this myself. There's got to be like a pool or something over there that I'm hearing all that noise. It's just weird how the sound carries. I might come back here, since you can come back here to 10 and not get arrested. Though I will say, the park ranger was pretty adamant if you're caught here after dark, it's a $75 fine. It's definitely a beautiful landscape. So we're approaching the eternal flame, and I'll figure out what that is by the time we get there. There's tour bus and tourists. You can see the fire on top. You'll see it better when we get closer. I could put my other lens on, but then I would be a good YouTuber and not a shitty one. So I'm going to be a shitty YouTuber and not put my other lens on. So, going back to my theme on how we aren't as united as we should be as a country now, it should be noted that in 1938 they created this monument to kind of remind us of just how bad the Civil War was, and how hopefully we can remain united in the future. And I believe that we are failing at that, and I think we need to start reminding ourselves where we came from, you know, where we are now, and where are we headed in terms of as a country. I mean, I feel like we're sliding downhill. We're going to repeat mistakes of our past, and it's becoming more and more noticeable with the rhetoric that's coming out of the media and the
lots of symbolism.
Radicalization of these mass shooters that are pretty much insurgents on this coming civil war that we're going to end up in if we don't change.
So I guess this was the hill that the Confederates attacked from. And then they ended up pushing the Cemetery Ridge, which I believe is on the other side of them trees there. And the McPherson Farm, which is way over there. And then, yeah. So imagine during the Civil War, an army camped out up here defending the position. They would hide behind those fences and shit. At least that's what the pictures depict. It's not like I was there. But it'd be interesting to come here. I think I'm going to stop by here at night and see, because you can go till 10, and then I think they put the chains up. But the cannons and the artillery, there was like a brutal attack by the Union against the Confederates, with brand new artillery that it was rifled barrels, and it would vaporize people. And then they also had another cannon it was like a shotgun. It had a canister with a bunch of small steel balls in it, and they said every time they fired it, they took out 20 fucking soldiers, 20 people they took out every time they fired it. And they were out of the Confederates were marching across the field. This is later in the day, and they were or later in the battle, I believe, and they were just had to march into this barrage of artillery because they mistakenly thought that they had decimated the artillery with their own artillery. Well, they were wrong, and it was probably the decisive moment of the battle. It wasn't this. That's not this battle. I think that's the one up on Cemetery Hill. But these things were brutal cannons, and not that our weaponry nowadays isn't any less brutal. I will say I want to come back here at night, so I'm going to do a lap during the day, then I'm going to go get fuel, and then I want to come back here when it's starting to get dark. You can't stay late at night. I would stay the whole night and just try to see if it's as haunted as they say it is, but unfortunately the closest to that we can get is at night. But I think I particularly want to come to this spot because of the eternal flame. Either that or Cemetery Hill, that's where that cannon artillery barrage probably had the highest casualty count during the whole 3-day battle. So I will say that, this is a danger when a country's not united, and it's something to think about as we once again are becoming more and more divided as a country. This could happen at any time for us. It's just a question of when, I think. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, but I do think we are starting on that path. There's a bug in here. Bugs. Lots of bugs. Ticks and shit. Sorry. But I do think we are starting on a path to being divided again, for different reasons than the Civil War. Civil War was mostly about slavery, ending slavery. But this, I don't know, the next Civil War, what's that going to look like? But I have no doubt that someday we will have another Civil War. We tend to repeat ourselves because we don't learn very well. Maybe it'll be fought because of political correctness and freedom. Who knows? It's definitely humbling, though, to walk around here and know what happened. I watched a 2-hour documentary last night about what happened, and was pretty well done too. It was directed by, or Ridley Scott, I think, filmed it. I think that's the director who was behind Alien. Observation tower. Shit. Pretty much the whole battlefield. That's the hill the Confederates pushed from over there, and they pushed down across here, and the Confederates ran the Union back to Cemetery Hill, past the seminary thingy hill. Seminary Hill, I think it's called. So this fighting just kind of pushed over this whole landscape. And part of it went into town, just right there. So these monuments, this is an interesting one, but they're pretty much along the whole route. The backpacks they used to wear, well, a statue of the packs that they used to wear. So I guess each unit has their own monument along the, probably in the area they fought the most in. Some entire units were wiped out. This one had 11 wounded, 44 captured or missing, or mortally wounded, 11, 44 captured or missing, and yeah, so each one of these has a kind of a rundown of what happened to that unit. So apparently there's a museum. We're gonna go see if we can check it out, unless it's too expensive. So apparently this was the hospital, served as the hospital that some of the, at least one of the generals and some other soldiers got treated at. I think I'm supposed to go up to, the guy said to go up to the 4th floor to start my tour. I'm all about the self-guided tours. Cost me $9 as a veteran to get in here.
The morning the battle started, one of the soldiers helped me mount his horse and handed me some money to buy him a loaf of bread. Hugh Ziegler, Gettysburg.
So dim in here.
About 8 o'clock, an ominous sound was heard. A sound that struck terror to the hearts of all who heard it. It was a call to battle. All was excitement. Company after company, regiment after regiment fell into line, and accompanied by strains of music, the march began towards the front.
Lydia Ziegler, Gettysburg.
Charlie and I marched along the road.
That's where we are, right there.
We heard the first shot of the great battle. We saw the explosion of a shell direct.
I always had a desire to see something in the battle. So here was my opportunity.
Just standing there getting ready to kill each other.
To the edge of the woods back of Seminary, and was enjoying the awe-inspiring scene when a bullet flew so near my head that I could hear the whizzing sound of wind.
Gettysburg.
God helping us.
Some old pictures, what it used to look like. Didn't look a lot different, to be honest with you. Except there probably wasn't a McDonald's on one of the roads. It's like a panorama too, like all of these flow together. I wonder if this is from the top. Southwest, south, southeast. It's pretty cool. Panorama photography back in the day. I don't know when these pictures were taken. When does it say? Really doesn't say when these pictures were taken. Oh well.
United States Army.
So this is a depiction of the battle that took place at the building that I'm in.
Stopping perhaps 20 pieces from the cylinder, I turned, and at this instant, I was hit by a flame fire in both legs. Lieutenant Colonel George McFarland, 151st Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry.
Getting hit with one of these must have sucked.
Rails, these brave men stemmed the fierce tide which pressed upon them incessantly and held the rebel lines at bay. Here they made their
So,
final stand.
approximately 620,000 Americans lost their lives during the Civil War, 250,000 of them from disease. The conditions were absolutely atrocious for not only the people that died, but for the people that were wounded. I mean, look, would you want to live through something like that? Where your lower jaw was missing? Not to mention the very, very common amputations that took place. And we're not, there's no anesthetic or any of that shit. They went out there with a fucking bone saw. They held you down and they look at the large group of people holding the motherfucker down and cutting his leg off. If this doesn't wake you up to the brutality of war and the fact that we could go down this path, I don't know what will.
Absolutely brutal.
I'm very sad for the people that had to go through this. I mean, this was... Wow. I mean, just looking at this part of the museum definitely was very sobering for me. I did not expect to see a bloody room with people laying all over with various injuries and wounds and blood everywhere, all over the walls and shit. I was like, holy shit. That they don't really prepare you for... You suddenly walk into a lovely room of death. And, it's definitely an eye-opening experience. And I'm glad I went to the museum, just for this floor alone, because it really hits home and gets the point across of just how brutal the Civil War was.
I dressed the men myself every day. The stumps did well under my care. Not a single patient died, a fact that was to me quite gratifying. Dr. James Fulton, 143rd Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry.
Many arms and legs were amputated, and several times I was called on to carry one to the rear of the hospital and deposit it with many others.
I especially find it sobering that they had a child narrating this. That was a nice touch in the amputation room. So the tragedy is that a lot of the people that you see depicted in this recovery room later died from infection and disease as a result of the battles that they participated in, or their wounds. if they were fortunate enough to even keep all their limbs.
Douglas had been Stonewall Jackson's aide. I was a Texan, and credited with dining.
And of course, families came and visited them.
I killed a man every morning before breakfast.
They look a lot more cheerful in this one.
5th Texas Infantry.
So the Confederates apparently didn't get graves. They were buried where they fell. Shallow graves. Interesting. So basically Gettysburg, one big graveyard.
So slavery is what started this whole thing. And you got to understand that we're making some of the same mistakes now. Now, I'm not saying that we've brought back slavery, but we've brought back, through the form of identitarian politics, a divide among races which could potentially lead to a repeat of history. If you look at the current events and the violence, I also found that this board that they had posted in there to be especially interesting because, just read some of these. I slowed it down for you here. You got Trump for president, you got, Second Amendment. So you got some people on the right on here, you got some people on the left. I see a lot more right than left on a lot of these, messages that people wrote up here anonymously. I think that the media is driving this divide that you can see illustrated here on this message board. You see both sides of the spectrum here, and I think a lot of the people that were filling these out are kind of missing the point of remembering the Civil War. You have to really think about the past and analyze it before you repeat it. And if you look at the mass shootings that occurred after, ironically, even though I started talking about this subject in this video, this was filmed before the mass shootings that just happened and the subsequent rhetoric where people are actually using the term Civil War. If Trump gets reelected, is one of the articles I read, and I was just like, wow. And we need to change that. We need to, get off this path that we're on somehow and start to respect each other again and meet in some form of middle ground somewhere that we currently aren't meeting on.
After seeing that was pretty, there was some brutal stuff that was on display in there. I feel like a lot of people nowadays forgot about this whole Civil War, and we're repeating some of the same mistakes now that led to the Civil War. No, I'm not saying we have slaves now, but in a way we do, if you think about wage slavery and debt slavery and the growing gap between the wealthy and the poor. It's a different kind of slavery. So while we did abolish slavery as a result of the Civil War, we traded it for another form of slavery, in my opinion. And I feel like a lot of people just don't, respect the amount of brutality that happened during the Civil War. It's hard to talk when there's a lawnmower going. So this is interesting. I wonder why these monuments are facing the wrong way. Army of Northern Virginia. I must have missed the North Carolina one. So this must have been one of the fortified positions just on the edge of town that they occupied. When I say they, I mean the Confederate Army. If I was going to pick out haunted places, this would probably be one of the ones. Especially knowing that the Confederate soldiers were pretty much buried wherever they fell. Which is interesting. This would be the place to check out after dark, I think. All through these woods, I bet they were fighting. So yeah, they were actively engaged here. 2nd Rockbridge Artillery, 3-inch. How'd you like to be on the receiving end of one of them? Not fun. I wonder if this looks like it could be the original rock wall that they had. Interesting. Imagine having to lay down behind this wall and defend yourself. Imagine the work it took just to make the wall. 'Cause you know they had to do that shit right on the spot. Trying to figure out why they got monuments facing the other way. Was it to make us come over here to read them? Alright, Carter, Virginia, McIntosh's battalion. Yeah, I definitely have a feeling I wonder if that tree was originally here when it took place. It looks like it's got a bunch of holes in it. Who knows? So I imagine that's where they had to push through to south of town. And I think those hills on the other side of this are the high ground that the Union held. So I'd probably say, looking at the terrain and all of this, that some bitter fighting took place here. So yeah, apparently, sorry, I needed the AC, it's fucking hot out. Apparently this is the spot where that charge that got fucked up by the artillery. This was the final charge. This field, I believe, that field, either that field or that field, and that's where they thought they took out the Union artillery, and turned out they were wrong, and the Union just waited till they started marching across the field and then pounded them, and because they were out of range, there was nothing they could do. They just had to march as they were getting blown up by artillery. So yeah, this is probably the most deadly area of the entire battle, I think. So yeah, if there's a haunted spot, this would probably be the area. So I might have to check it out later. So this is kind of crazy. This wall, just to give you an idea of the size of this, runs all the way down that way. And you can see cannons endlessly lined up all across this. So this is got to be a major battlefield. Because that's the town over there. So I imagine a lot of battle was fought in this area here. So now that I get a look at it, that Cemetery Hill over there, so this is where the Confederates attacked artillery from, and then they led a charge over this field. Unfortunately, on the other side was the artillery of the Union, which cut them to pieces. You can see way over there, this entire area was the battlefield they pushed through, fighting through hedgerows and fences, and yeah, so they had to get across this huge field under an artillery barrage. So apparently they're working on this one. A storm might be rolling in. I found this little spot. It's huge, this battlefield. And I wanted to see what that monument was too on top of this hill. This hill seems like kind of an eerie place. I want to know what happened here. But it's getting more than a little stormy, as you can see behind me there. So my tour might be cut a little short today. It's pretty. I'm definitely happy I came all this way here. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed being here. I'm enjoying the whole trip pretty much. You know, could do without as many tourists, but it is a tourist spot. So far I haven't spent a whole lot of money. You know, I spent $10 going into the museum. Well, $9. I just refilled my, well, I didn't fully refuel it because they're charging a lot for gas here, but I put $20 in the fuel tank, which is enough to get me back home, pretty much. I'm debating on the Bushkill Falls trip. Might be a little ambitious, along with going up north to finish out with the camping trip. I want to see. There's decorations or something. Somebody's coming. I was hoping to have this one all to myself. It's so peaceful here. So I guess General Farnsworth fell on this spot. So there was a battle on this spot. It's kind of interesting. There's another one of them walls. So as I was saying, this has been educational, it's been entertaining, it's been peaceful, and I'm enjoying this trip. I'm really glad I did it. You know, despite not having a whole lot of money, it's been quite the learning experience. So I hope you're happy I shared it with you. Realize this might not be as interesting as some of my other adventures, because it's kind of got like this, you know, solemn overtone. You know, I feel very reverent here about the past, and you know, I couldn't hold a candle to the men that died here. There's no, on both sides, they had their causes, they fought each other in the most brutal possible way, and many of them are still under this ground that we're walking on, and they're in the cemeteries, and they're just, this whole town is like a graveyard. There's monuments all over the place about who fought and died where. You'll see them periodically, almost every road throughout the battlefield. Apparently this is a horseback riding trail. Yet another way to monetize this place, I guess. But I can recommend this, definitely, as a trip. It's worth the drive. It's so peaceful in this part of the park, though. I don't know what it is. Makes you wonder. This could be haunted. I know I talk a lot about the ghost stuff, but you never know. I have experienced weird shit. That's why I look for weird shit. Well, let's see what's next. It's a interesting spot. It's called Big Round Top. It's like a trail here. I'm not going to go too far away from my car, but especially since it might storm. But there's some rocky formation here or something. I can imagine that they probably fortified this position and camped out. Interesting. Little nobody seems to be paying attention to this being here either. Nobody parked here or stopped. Just a bunch of rocks. And they seem to go all the way down that way. Hearing thunder. This burnt wood. Who knows from when? Somebody have a fire here, or maybe it's from back in the day. I don't know. It can't be that. I don't think a piece of burnt wood would survive that long here. Would have decayed by now, I would think. There's all kinds of burnt trees all over the place. It's weird. Makes you wonder what happened here. Clearly this was a spot. I mean, there's a wall built right there. So something happened here. Something significant. I'm guessing by the burnt trees that there was some kind of battle here. So interesting history. This would have been the high ground to hold. There's more burnt shit there. A tree stump or something that was burnt. Finding some interesting little spots on this part of the battlefield. Hopefully that wasn't itchy green shit. I don't want itchy green shit. Let's walk around this. Burnout wood. Something here. Look at this. I just felt the raindrop. Raindrops are not cool. Look at this. Is that a cave? Is there seriously a fucking cave here? I'm going in. Oh, I hear thunder and lightning and shit. That's seriously a little... Wow. I wonder if that was a cave at one point and they just sealed it up. I'm really creeped out here, I gotta say. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel creeped out. Can't be too bad. I hear kids. I need to learn to turn my fucking cell phone off when I'm in the woods. See, those are burnt too. Look. More burnt trees. Yeah, it might be time to head back to the car before I get poured on. Should be my luck. I don't know if I'd have the balls to hang out in this woods at night. At least not by myself. Because there's definitely a creep factor in here. Like with all the burnt trees and shit. I mean, are these trees left over from the battle? Is that why they're burnt? That's a good question. Or did somebody come along later and burn them? Interesting little spot. I'm glad I stopped. I almost didn't. Wouldn't mind hiking all the horseback riding trails. But I'm not going to have enough time on this trip to do all that. It's 9 miles of hiking. Plus I'm not allowed to backpack here. So there's that. Another interesting spot. These are actual gravestones. So somebody's probably buried here. Round top, 26 casualties here. So much is still here. Because you know they didn't rebuild this shit. This was original rock walls that they did. Probably a guard position here. Imagine having to huddle down in that spider infested shit. Mosquitoes here are no joke too. Oh, fucking flew right in my eye. So there was another battle here apparently. So much fighting took place all over oh, what's this up here? There's a tombstone up there. What's this up here? So I apparently unplugged the mic thinking that the onboard mics would kick in my camera as I continued to explore Round Top. I eventually started running into a lot of spider webs, indicating that nobody had gone through here
in quite some time. This was yet another eerie part of Gettysburg that kind of gave me the creeps, and then the thunderstorm didn't help. But overall, I didn't really see or hear anything, that couldn't be easily explained, given the amount of people that do travel through Gettysburg in the park. And, cars are pulling up and shit while I'm wandering through here, but I'm really upset that the sound cut off on me here, because I was doing a lot of walk and talk exploring here. And that's kind of like what I want to do for my adventure videos, is kind of explore and do my little commentary on what things are going on going forward. But getting back to what I was talking about before with the whole that we might have another civil war, I think one of the ways we get out of that is by no longer putting so much stock in the media and social media. I see people get so wound up tight by the media, and it's a lot more people I think are waking up, and that's a good thing. I hope people continue to turn away from traditional media, because they've turned into clickbait, barely doing their homework and research, fake news fucks that are causing all of this hysteria that's going on. And this is only the beginning. The election season's, here, and it's just going to get worse as the campaigns ramp up, and over the next year, it's just going to be so much bullshit. I'm very upset that they politicized the mass shootings the way they have. I think both sides are guilty of that, and all you're doing is further dividing people and radicalizing them to the point where they're writing fucking manifestos and going and killing people. And that is what a civil war will look like in the future. If I think about the difference between this civil war that we've been observing on this video and a civil war that we may be facing in the future, it's going to be more like insurgents. It's just going to be mass shooting after mass shooting. Eventually, more than one person will be armed and fighting, and, it will just be fights that break out randomly, and you won't feel safe. You won't feel, comfortable being out in places. And there's some cities right now that are so violent and bad that you don't feel safe wandering around. Some would argue that the Civil War is already here. I don't agree with that. I think there's still enough sane, rational motherfuckers to where we don't have to quite worry yet. But we do need to change the course we're on, I think, or repeat mistakes of the past. And these aren't mistakes that we're alone guilty of. Many countries have had civil wars.
Being here during a thunderstorm kind of lends a different kind of ambiance to it and shit. Oh, there's people coming. Damn it. Can't even vlog in peak.
Wow. So down at the bottom of this hill is Devil's Den. And then there's a bunch of itchy green, horrible vegetation mixed with sharp rocks. And apparently the Confederates, were being sniped from this high position. They were trying to snipe back from the Devil's Den down there. And you know, this is the site of probably a lot of buried on the spot Confederate soldiers because they were unable to take this position. The Union was able to hold the high ground due to largely to the very, very difficult terrain that imagine having to fight your way up this hill with the weaponry of the time that had a limited range, all while getting bombarded from cannon fire and all kinds of shit, although I don't see that they had cannons at the top of this hill. So listen carefully in this next part, because I'm pretty sure I may have gotten haunted. I don't know, but I hear the sounds of gunfire and cannon fire, and apparently I heard it audibly there too, so I don't know. You judge. I just know that I don't remember hearing the lower sounds of battle that I seemed to hear as I walked here, so listen up. What the hell is that? What the hell is that?
It's interesting how they got that whole valley there, and that seems to be the other line over there. Lots of memorials over there too. This had to have been a brutal battle.
Now that could have just been like people talking somewhere, but the voice, it sounded kind of unnatural to me. So yeah, maybe I got a little bit of EVP action. I don't know. Between the gunshots and the gunfire and then hearing that, I don't know. So I stood here for like 20 minutes waiting for these people because I spotted this picture, and I'm a photographer too. I didn't take a lot of pictures, but this one I wanted. So I waited patiently for what felt like 20 minutes while they had carried on this conversation, and this is the picture I got. And it sucked that they looked at me several times. They seemed unconcerned, and I just waited patiently. And that's pretty much all you can do as a photographer. I mean, it is what it is. But I grabbed more than one picture here, and I just wanted to, I don't know why I felt the need to switch to photography at this point, because I wasn't really doing photography on this trip. I would come back and do a photography trip sometime. But right now, these are all the pictures I got while I was up there, and this was with the GH5 also.
So apparently Confederate sharpshooters, since they were getting their ass handed to them here, set up here to shoot up to the spot that we just were with sharpshooters. Hour and a half was this particular battle of they were trying to fight, the Confederates were trying to fight their way up that hill to where we were just hanging out. Yeah, this is a good hiding spot if you think about it. There's some serious itchy green shit up here. Poison sumac looks like all over the place. Hopefully I didn't get any on me, because that would suck.
So, reflecting on this trip now, it's, it definitely opened my eyes to the past which is kind of the goal of the whole trip, along with exploring, along with trying to get haunted. It's debatable whether or not those were EVPs I heard, or whether they're just people talking that somehow got picked up through some weird sound acoustic shit. I was very mystified by the gunfire, because I don't remember hearing more than one. I heard the first noise, but I didn't hear the subsequent noises while I was there of gunfire, so that's interesting. It's definitely something to think about. Every once in a while we should escape our comfort zone, get out there and experience something like this that, tells the story of all the men and, probably women that died, in this place. It's nuts that we might actually potentially repeat another civil war at some point. I think we need to educate ourselves. So what I would suggest, and that I've actually been doing, is watching some Civil War documentaries, of which on YouTube there are many. I mean, one of them was 8 hours long. I fell asleep halfway through it. Watch them and remember the past and see how brutal we were. I mean, we were cutthroat. We were doing terrorist stuff. We did biochemical. We tried to infect people with diseases. There's records of that. There's records of, us doing insane things to each other, all because we couldn't agree. And we are currently in a state where we're not agreeing, and this could easily escalate when you look at this crap that's been going on lately, and the rhetoric surrounding it, and the propaganda, and the fake news, and all of the bullshit that's been plaguing our modern society. How far away are we from repeating the mistakes of the past? And what will it look like for our future? Things to think about, really. Who knows?
So I've accomplished my trip back at the cemetery, which I started at yesterday. But it's been quite the experience. I've learned a lot about our past. I've learned a lot about, something that TV just kind of can't do justice until you actually stand here. And you're standing in this place where 51,000 people died, brutally slaughtering each other with every weapon imaginable at the time. So it was a learning experience. I enjoyed it. I recommend it for anybody that is looking to learn and have an adventure and see a lot. It's definitely... I did the whole loop today, and it was pretty exhausting. He was tired. There it is, the battlefield. Huge, sprawling battlefield. That's the cemetery over there, where the Gettysburg Address took place. So let me know what you think in the comments of this little adventure. You want to see me do more adventures? I don't know what this video turned out like. There were times where I was more enjoying the moment than filming it. So I didn't film everything I did here. But I gave you enough to give you a general idea of what it's like. I would have liked to done some night stuff, but it's not even getting, it's almost 8 o'clock now. It's not even getting dark yet. And if you're here after 10, it's a $75 fine. So there's that, unless you pay probably thousands of dollars for a ghost tour, which, fuck that. I just believe that's people trying to take advantage of people. But I understand they have to keep their economy going here, and I'm willing to bet tourism is their biggest form of economy. So, can't begrudge them. Other things that I'm gonna regret not doing while I have been here, so I'm gonna start heading back up north, is I really didn't go downtown and see the sights downtown, mainly because it's so commercialized and I'm on a budget. I'm here to do the cheap version of this trip, so here I am doing the cheap version. It's a nice little walk here. Nobody's on it. There are places you can get away and be quiet here and peaceful. So but my vacation's not over. The next video will be Shutterstock 2019, Shutterstock 11. It's going to be a lot of partying, quite the opposite of this trip, and I think it's going to be a good time. I'm going to be wore out by the end of this trip. I'm already feeling pretty wore out today, and so if you like this video, found it entertaining or enlightening in some way, please head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual tip jar. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, share my videos, comment, do all the things to make the algorithm maybe give me a little bit of growth, but it's not growing. Let's face it, YouTube's not going to grow for me. What the hell? Something's in the bushes. Follow me on DLIVE and Minds.com, as I will be posting and live streaming and doing content there as well. Or just watch my shit. There is still that way of supporting the channel. Just watch my shit. I'm gonna walk up to this monument before we go. I'm kind of enjoying this little walk. And as always, I'm not a fucking expert. Not even at minimalist travel. I'm just an asshole. So I'll catch you on the next video. I have no idea when I'm going to post this because I'm having trouble uploading from the road. But have a nice motherfucking day. Shit. Would have liked to have done a haunted tour. Maybe next time. And shit. Okay. That's where I started. I've already been here. Just forgot that I've been here. And I go back now. I'm tired. I need a nap. That's what happens when you hang out in 100-degree heat in the middle of fucking battlefields all day. And shit. Have a nice motherfucking day.